Step 1. These are all the profiles for the SimXPro GT-RS. We'll get through them. This is the wheel plate, the profile pedal deck side plates, red corner brackets, 4080 cross brackets, a field set, spare mounting materials. These can be used for mounting accessories, wheelbase, maybe pedal set. There's an M8 12mm mounting kit that goes with the front wing. There's a sticker set, there's a thank you card, M8 16mm mounting kit, there's a back plate, front wing, black corner brackets. I don't know if I already mentioned the end caps, but also the end caps. There's the profile for the pedal deck. They have threaded ends on both sides. Hope you can see it in the light. But these are made so the bolts get in to mount the plates to these profiles. There are the other profiles, and it's good to mention that all profiles are the heavier grade. So they have full cores. They're the heavy ones, and they are also powder coated in black. It gives a smoother finish. It makes the profile smoother as well and more scratch resistant. I got an example for a lighter version, as you can see. It contains less aluminium, so it's lighter and of course less strong. This is also a piece which anodized and not powder coated. So as you can see, the scratches will be seen much sooner than on a powder coated one. Of course, powder coating isn't bulletproof, but still, if you have some marks, you can easily wipe it off with your hands or just with a soft cloth. So we go further with the assembly. Step 2. For this step, we need the longest profiles, 2 of them, and on one side they have a tapped end, as you can see. Bolts can go in there. So we need the big bag of bolts, the M816, the back plate, and I also going to attach the stickers already, because I think it's easy to do it right now and I already know where I want them. So we need a tape measure, just to have an idea on where to put the parts. We need Allen keys, but use proper ones with a good tip. I will give you an example of one with not a good tip. Maybe you've used it for other things. It will give you trouble. The bolts will not like them. So use a fresh and a good set of Allen keys, because you want to put some pressure on the bolts, and then you need a good material. So for now, one thing about the back plate. The back plate will come like this. If you're a tall person, you can also reverse the back plate to get more size for your legs. Myself, I'm almost 2 meters, and I would use them like this, which extends from the back, because these slides are the ones you use to mount your seat. So if you're a tall person, you can choose to do it like this. If you don't like it, if you want to start like this, you can always turn them around. Just 4 bolts to release. So it's not a big deal if you decide now to mount them like this and see what happens later. Also depends a bit on your pedal set. So some pedal sets have the pedals more in front, and some have them more towards you, which results in less leg space. So in this case, you might want to turn the plate, but it's a possibility. You can find it out yourself. So what I like to do now is already put the sticker on, and that's this one, the big one. Most stickers have like a breakable back. So you can just do it like this. These stickers are also reusable. It's pretty easy to mount them, and if you want to change them a bit, you can just get them off and mount them again. It's best to make it a little tight on one side to make sure it's properly on there. And the reason why these don't come with stickers on is because you might want to reverse the plate, or you might not like this sticker, want something else. So that's why they are not already on the brackets. It's also possible for people who did it more often. They probably know it. You can use some soap and water and then make the surface a bit wet. And then you can easily get all the air out. So when we're done with the sticker, we can mount it to the profiles. So let's get 4 of the M816. There's a little picture in the manual where you can also put the bolt, and then you can see the size. It's easier to think, but the big bag is all M16 and the other ones are M12, and they're only used with the front wing. So what I usually do is I just turn it in by hand as far as I can. So now I have 4 bolts in just by hand. So now I can tighten them up. Usually when mounting a rig, you just do it hand tight. So don't over tighten it yet, just mount them, and then later on we do some extra tightening when everything is in place. So for now, what we can do is get these stickers on there as well. You can also do it when the profile is laying flat, but it could be that you change them up. So what we do is put the GT-RS on the back side. Yeah, like I said, usually there's a split in the paper. So now I'm just mount it exactly in the middle area between the slots of the profile. So I like to put a little bit of the edges inside the channel, so it all gets one together. So this is this side. So we will take the other side. It's very good to use clean hands when you do this. You don't want to have like dirty hands, otherwise there's more chance that the sticker will release later on. There's like 1 or 2 millimeters extra on the sticker to get this smooth finish with the edges going in the channels. So later on you can always make adjustments. Okay, so for now, the last thing, we put the field set. Turn it over. These are made to the size of the profiles, and they are pretty thick. So we'll do them around here. If necessary, there's a second set, and you can use it also on top of each other if you need more height somehow. But you can also use one and maybe use one set for something else. So now it's easier to slide it around. You don't even need wheels. So this is why we did this instead of rubber feet that we used to use on all other rigs. But This works out very well, and it's, like I said, easier to move around if you have a flat floor. So these ones, the adjusting stickers, we put them here. So it's easier to get a position for your uprights and for your pedal deck later. So I'll get them on both sides. Take them a little bit from the front. Also, like the other one, I put them a little bit over the edge so it gets in the profile, in the channel. So you got them here and here. And of course, on the back. So, on to the next step. Step 3. We are going to mount the uprights. Like I mentioned before, the field set. What you can do is mount 2 of the field sets inside of the profile on the bottom side. That's going to rest on the base frame. It's easier to adjust it. This could be helpful when you already know that you are going to do a lot of adjustments or maybe drive around with different people. Could be helpful to reduce scratches on the top side of the profile. Also, in this step, we are going to use T-nuts. This ball has a spring, so you can push it and get it into place and adjust it. Also, a good thing of this spring ball is that you don't need to use the end always. So for example, if something is already attached here, you can get them in here and here, but you can also push them in, just like that, get it in position and adjust it again. So also if you would take something out, you can just do it the same way. Get a small Allen key, get it in the back side of the T-nut, and it's out. So that's very easy. For this step, we all need the M16 bolts. And what I usually do, you can do it in different ways. I already check what's the best way to go. So for example, if you need this one, you can put it here, just what you like. You can get another one here and then get the upright profile on top of it. What I usually do is I already mount the brackets on there. This one also has the field set. And then a good thing to know, it's the powder coated profiles, it's like sprayed on there. So there's always like a positive side and a negative side. And one side will usually be a little better than the other side. So I always look at the profile, which way I'm going to use for the outside or for the visual side. So I already checked this one. It's going here. And because of the field set, I need a little bit more room. So I'm not going to turn the T-nuts too far in yet. So now it's going to place. So, like I mentioned before, it's easier to slide. Usually this upright can be mounted on around 15 centimeters from the front. So these bolts are already tightened securely on the upright. I already did that because they are not going anywhere. They are not necessary for adjusting. So this one tightened up. This one as well. And I just secured them like hand tight. So not fully tightened because they might need adjustment later. So I'll show you this one from the beginning as well. Here already got the field set. Get some bolts and nuts on them. So if you can't slide them from this way, you could always slide them from the other way. And usually you can slide it from there as well, but there's a field set. So what I usually do is not put the bracket all the way up. I leave a little space. So when you're tightening the button bolt, it will pull the upright towards the base frame. And these can be tightened with the big key, because they will not be released for any reason. Sliding them in. What you can also do is get the T-nut in, get it in position, and then turn it in from here. But that's personal preference. It's just, yeah, how you like to build things. I'm going to use 15 centimeters here as well. This is just an indication, depending on your pedals, your wheelbase, depending on a lot of things actually. But it's a way to start. Usually it's good, but can need some adjustments. Uprights are mounted. Now we are going to mount the cross brackets. A nice thing what I used to like when using the paper behind it. So as you can see, you can use different colors, and then you got a little bit more depth in your brackets. So for this one we are going to use the white one, but you can use any color. You can also use a sticker or a piece of paper. And we are going to prepare this one as well. More easy. So you use the bottom slides on here. Just get them in. Now you can slide them in place. We are going to mount them later on. When you use them properly, it's a little bit overbuilt, that's what you could say, because they are so strong. So better have it stronger, because you don't want to have flex. I will put this one aside for now. So I'll get 2 bolts, 2 T-nuts. There's also like a detail, but you can use them like this or like this. If you put them in like this, there will be less visible areas from the T-nuts. So it can be done both. So now we'll adjust the holes so they line up. When I'm pushing in the T-nut, depending on how I need it, but it could be that I put it in with the ball first. But what I usually do is I'll like to put my finger in the channel. In case you put it in and you miss it, it falls. And it will fall down here. In this point it's not a big problem. But when you're mounting your uprights and it falls in between, for example, the 40-80 cross brackets, you will be losing some time getting the T-nut out. So I usually put the finger in. When it falls, it's just there. And try it again. Just a little tip in between. Piece of paper in there. And then I will get these ones. Also, when you're turning the bolt in the T-nuts, you feel some resistance. Just turn it back and try again, because it's probably not in place or not straight. Not fully tighten them, because you might want to adjust them later. Alright, so this is one side. I'll do the other side. Getting the T-nuts in, get my paper in. Not fully tightened, but just enough to keep everything properly in place. So this is the last part, the front wing. This one will be mounted between the uprights. Important is I got this bag containing 4 M8 12mm. They are a bit shorter and they are necessary for the front wing, because this plate is 3mm and the depth of the profile is 12. So we cannot use 16, because 12 plus 3 is 15. So you will have 1 millimeter space. And that's what you don't want. So therefore, we have these 12 millimeter bolts for the front plate. So we're getting this in place. And for now, we're just doing it on the top of the profile. Can adjust them later, so they stay in place. So this is the last part of this step. We'll continue with the next step. Step 4. So for this step, we need the 34 and the 42. 4 the black corner brackets, and again the bolts and nuts. So first we are going to mount this profile between these two profiles. We can still push them around a bit. The space here can be adjusted depending on the space that you need to mount your chair or your seat. So for example, some brackets will need 29 centimeters, so you can adjust them in this way. Here you can use T-nuts to make a pattern from 42 till, for example, 2 centimeters. And on the back side it's the same. You can go like this close, but there's no seat using this small mounting patterns. So if you're mounting an office seat, you can also get it smaller if necessary, or more here. The brackets are used here on the front side, and we use the front side because it's easier to adjust. You can always get from here and adjust it. When you put them on the inside and you got a seat already on there, it's hard to adjust. So for that reason we do it here. This is a long way to slide the full profile in. So in this case, I prefer to put the brackets in place and then get the profile attached. So as you can see, these two things are on the other side as well. They keep everything in place. So they go through the channel, and we mount them a little bit here, just to keep them in place. This one as well. To go here, keep it in place. So now we're going to prepare the 42. Let's have a look at the best side. I think this one. So we put in the lowest channel, because this one will not be equal with here, because it needs to be equal with this one, with the top side of the back plate. So we will use it like this. Get it in place, turn it in by hand first. So this one can be tightened because it doesn't need to be moved. But this one, the one getting in the profile, on the side profile, can be adjusted when you are mounting your seat. So I'll release this one a little bit to get the tension off. This one as well. So this can be moved around. Sometimes you need to help it a little bit and do it gently. So the seat part. You can also mount a slider on here. Use the brackets from the slider to go over and over. And there's a bolt and a nut. And here will be a bolt and a nut. And here you will use a T-nut and use a bolt to mount in the T-nut. Also there's like the shifter profile or accessories profile. You can mount it on this side or on the left side, depending on your preferences. We are going to mount it on the right side, because that's where we have them here in Holland. The shifter and the brake, handbrake. So here again I decide to connect the brackets already. And here also I'll save a millimeter on the end so it can pull itself tight. So we're getting it along smoothly. We're getting somewhere already. Few steps to go and then we're ready to race. In the beginning, when you're new to this stuff, sometimes you will maybe hate it, because you sometimes need to start over or make changes, and it will take some time to adjust it. But the good thing is, and that's like the golden thing with the sim rigs, is that you can adjust it everywhere, limitless to what you need. So it will be always in the right place. So sliding it in, just like I showed you before, like the top profiles or like the uprights. You can always slide them in, or you can do it putting the T-nuts in the channel and then tighten them. Not fully tightening with the big one, because might need some adjustment later on. So far with this step. Step 5, we're going to mount the profile pedal deck. And this is an interesting part, because there's so much possibilities to do this, so much adjustment to be made. I will get you through. We will start with a plate on one side. Put one in there, and the other ones we are going to slide in from the front. The possibilities, there's so much, I cannot tell them all here, but I will give you a good idea so you can see for yourself what you like the most. So I already put these ones here as well, because we will need them. And now we're getting in the top channel, like this one is in the top channel, these two. And there's one in the bottom. And now we're moving it along. So at this point it's very easy to show you what's possible. So you can mount them like this. Later on we'll put this one there as well. And then you can make your pedal deck here. So you can use them in a low position if you want to have your pedals lower. If you want to have them in a higher position, you can use the top of the slides. So then you will use these ones instead of these ones. You can also make a combination. It's, like I said, almost limitless. So here you can do some adjustment using sliding these around. So for example, if you want this, you can use an angle, or you can keep them flat. If you want, there's more to adjust, because you can release bolts to get different positions. You can also use this one here, if you don't want to use one that's blocking a dimension you want to go. So for example, if we want to go up, these are blocking. You see, you still have 3 left. This one going here. So preferably using 4. Get this in. Now you could even reach an angle like this. So it depends on your preferences. But let's say you want to keep it like this. Tighten the bolts. Not fully tighten because you want adjustment later on, but we got it like here. So the next step will be to mount the bracket on the other side in the exact same way, so that we can later on put the profiles between. But like I said, it also depends on the angle that your pedals have. Like the CSL pedals, they are a bit more forward. So you want to have your angle a bit more up, to have your feet more in a vertical position. So what I want to show you, like this is the full adjustment possible. Could even be more if you do release some things and change the setup on these bolts, but this is pretty much like the angle where you should work with. For now I'll keep them flat. This is like with load cell pedals who have already forward position. because you just don't want to overstretch your legs when you are pushing throttle or brakes. So I'm going to prepare this one in the same way, and then this vertical slide as well. I'm going to do the same trick. Get the T-nuts in, get this one in position, align it with the T-nut, turn it in. So now I'm tightening a little bit to make sure they stay in place. I kept this one in the plastic so I can show you how to open them. What I used to do, I take off one side and then I'll just get this one and it chops off. Very easy. The tapped ends, maybe you can see them now. There's where the bolts are going. So if you are using like CSL pedals, you basically only need 2 of those, because you are creating a pattern, and I will just start and show you, because you need to see it to have a good idea with it. So getting these ones in, bolt on each side. So we are getting in some details now as well, because that's the only way to show. I'm not going to tighten them fully, because when we tighten them, it will pull everything together to make the strong connection. So for now, I'm going to leave this one and just work with the two 40/40 profiles. Usually, the one in the front are used in the holes, because this is a fixed position and we are not going to slide it around. We just want this to be fixed. So for now, what we can do with this system is we can adjust it to create every mounting pattern. There's a combination with the front, with the distance, with this one. So we can slide it around. If you need a closer mounting area, you can put them in these slides. And also these work with T-nuts. So if you have pedal set that goes with the bolts from the top through the pedal set into the profile to mount it, this will be a good one to put it here. So you can adjust the width through here and the space between the top mounting holes and the bottom mounting holes, adjust them like this. In some cases, there are pedals like the Thrustmaster pedals. They are mounted from the bottom up into the pedal set. So it's not possible to use a T-nut to get in there. So what we do, we got you 4 corner brackets, and I'll get them and I'll show you how to work with them. Here they are again. So what we are going to do is we are going to clip off the guiding piece. And it's just done like this. There's a screwdriver. You take a flat side and there it goes. And you do it on all 4 of each bracket. Push them in and break them off. What you can do, because you do something with a tool, use like something so you will not get into your hands with this one. So you can get an old t-shirt or gloves, for example, just click them off and don't get into your hands. So this one here on the front, and I'll take this one and already put a T-nut in here. To create a pattern, you can do it adjusting here and adjusting here. These ones or T-nuts. And then you can put a bolt from the bottom into your pedal set. So this is the idea. We have the spare mounting kit, which I got here. There's also some M6 bolts in there. There are a lot of pedal sets using M6. So we also have washers. So there are 4 M6 and 4 M8 washers. Always check if you have the right bolts, because every pedal set, every accessory need another length of the bolt. So make sure you're not going through any of your accessories or pedals because you use a bolt which is too long. So we have the smallest one, that's M12. So you can get them at your hardware store. If you need longer ones, maybe they come with your accessory or with your pedals. It's what we believe it should be. So then you can mount everything on there. So you can use the washers to create the hole, otherwise it might slip through. So there are the washers for. Also in this bag there are like M6 T-nuts. They are smaller. So it's for M6. And there are only 4 of them, because you don't need them anywhere else in your build, but maybe you need them for some accessories. So these can be tightened if you got the right position with your pedals. Then we have the big piece, the 4080, also with tapped ends. If you use a pedal set without a base plate, get these ones in so I can show you a bit more. What you can also do, it's good to show you, you can use one hole in one slide and one hole in another slide. To give you an idea, like this, the distance between these holes can be up to 31 centimeters. But it can be more adjusted. But there are not so many pedal sets who use 30 or more centimeters. So this is good, but you can probably go up to 35 to 40. But it's enough for all the common brands. So what you can do when you have like some type of a load cell pedal, you could mount the pedals in here, and then you should adjust this one a little bit more. You can use it as a heel rest. So in that case you don't need the corner brackets, so you just have some spares, but you can use it like a heel rest, so you can mount your pedals on this rail. Could be a solution, but like I said, there's a lot of possibilities. If you want, you can also, when you have a pedal set with only using four bolts, but you can put it in the middle just to have some extra support for your pedal set. So for now we are going to tighten these a little bit up because we are going to the next step. All right. So we mentioned before that we can adjust and use the profile pedal deck in different ways. We can use it like this or put the angle more up if it's necessary for your pedals. Right now I will show you how you can use the profile pedal deck in a higher slot. We are going to release all bolts which hold the profile pedal deck in place. So now that we released the profile pedal deck, we're going to get the T-nuts from the lower slot. We got this new end caps which are really easy to click in and get out. So we are going to use an extra T-nut in the upright. In this case we're using this slot, but you can also use this one, depending on your personal preferences. In between. So first let's start with the top one. This one in the top channel of the base profile. And now we can make these work as well. Tighten the bolts a little bit to keep everything in place. Do the same on this side. So now we have a higher position of the profile pedal deck. Of course, this is also adjustable. You can adjust the angle by releasing bolts and using other channels. Also, there's a small trick which you can use if necessary. Therefore, I will release this bolt and this one. This one needs to be a little bit loose as well. So for example, if you want to have this one in an angle as well, you could get this bolt in the T-nut and use it as a support. So you can also Put it here, the more closer you put it, changes your angle. So we should do it on both sides to have proper support. And once we've had them all in, we tighten all other bolts to make sure everything stays in place. When you properly tighten them, you really need. So this gives you a nice example on how you can also mount the profile pedal deck. If you need it higher or lower in an angle, you can also use the bottom slots. And what you also can do is turn around the whole profile pedal deck. So you have these ones on the bottom side if you need adjustment in this way. Step 6, where we are going to mount our wheel plate. So the wheel plate has a back side and a front side. And you can see it like here. This is the front side. It extends a bit from the mounting. And it will be in between the uprights, and the edge is falling over the front plate. So it can be adjusted. You have to release the uprights and get the uprights in position. We are going to prepare it like before, getting the bolts inside out, so we can slide them again in the profile. If you want to have the wheel mount in a lower position, you can also release the front wing and get it lower. So double check on the front side is here. So yeah, it's in place. So now it's on the top position, like the highest position. You probably want to have it lower, so I'll show you in a bit. And like I mentioned before, I'm also a tall person, so we are going to put it a little bit lower. Not too low, but like a little, like this, like 2 centimeters. First, I'll tighten the front wing, not fully tightened. Like I said before, everything needs to be fully tightened when everything is in position. So don't forget that. It's like the most important step to get your flex-free solution. So they are in place. We have some bolts left. We have the spare mounting kit left, brackets because we didn't put the brackets on there. And we also have the end caps. There's 2 of the 40/40 end caps. They go here. On this, you can click them in. If you're going to mount your seat, you can wait with the end caps, because if you want, you can slide a little bit easier. But for now, I'll just get them in. You can also push them out, pretty easy. So if you still need to be somewhere, get your fingers in between, turn them around a bit, gently of course, you can get them out. Here as well. In place. In place. One for the shifter. You can also mount anything else, like a mouse, tray, or handbrake. Anything you like on accessories, which you want on the side of you can put it right there. And on the front, of course, there's also 2 profile ends which need a cover. You can use a rubber hammer to tighten it up a little bit if necessary. We also have some stickers left, and I'll show you where we usually put them. We have the always ready to race. The thing with the stickers, you can put them everywhere you want. You can change them around. We have the GT-RS sticker on the back side, but you can also put it on the upright. Put them in place, a little stretched out. And then putting them inside. Make sure that you don't put them over the end cap, because it will get, sooner or later, it will get loose. The other side as well. So then we also have these ones left. I put one on the shifter profile. The other ones, we'll place them here. I can show you in a bit. If you adjust the upright, put the sticker position in the same way on the other side. you can adjust the uprights, same on both sides. And you can do the same with the pedals. So that's why usually this would be a nice position, but like we said before, you can put them anywhere. So this is it. Now the fun parts begin, and that will be adding your gear. And then don't forget to tighten up everything, because you want to have a flex-free solution. And that can only be when you tighten everything correctly and tight. You don't have to stretch them out, but you can use force. You can see everything's moving, and always make sure that you use a proper tool and that you put the tool in all the way. So no halfways or all the way in. I usually hold it with one hand and then tighten them, because that's the best way to not wear out your bolts and to make sure that everything will be tightened up correctly, and then you are ready to race. Step 7. So after you tightened everything correctly, it's time to add the wheelbase. The plate is 4 mm thick, so make sure you don't get too deep into the wheelbase. So you make a calculation, usually it's in the manual, so depending on that you can use some washers. Pretty easy, get it in the position, get the bolts in. First one is usually a little bit hard to find, but after that you can take all 4 bolts, aligning with the pattern of the wheelbase, and then tighten them with the Allen keys. Step 8. We are going to mount the Simucube wheelbase to the direct drive mounting bracket. This mounting bracket works on the GT-RS, but it also works on other flat wheel mounts. The Simucube wheelbase doesn't have a mounting pattern in the bottom. So for this reason, it should be front mounted. What we need is a bracket, and this is this bracket. And on the top side, you can see this part. This is the top. The bottom part is flat. So this means that you mount the wheelbase like this onto the bracket. We will mount the wheelbase in the bracket when the bracket is mounted to the rig. So for now we're going to make sure that we do this in a proper way. So we can put the wheelbase aside. And now there's 2 options. You can mount the side plates on the outside of the bracket. You can tilt a little bit, but I'll show you that more in detail later. But it's mostly built to hold the wheelbase, not specially for tilting or adjustments. You can do the adjustments with the flat wheel mount, and then the bracket will move along. So in this case we are going to mount mounting area inside out, so it will be under the wheelbase. In some situations you could mount them also to the outside, like this. For example, if your the pattern in the wheel mount doesn't align, maybe if you switch them around, you can find a pattern that matches this bracket. We are using the M8 60 mm to mount the front plate to the sides of the brackets. We will now put the nut. It's a normal M8 nut. We will use it to mount the pieces together. Now we'll take the other side as well. So make sure this part is the top side. Later, when we mounted the wheelbase, we can tighten these bolts up. For now it's good to have a little bit of adjustment to make it easier to mount it on your rig. From this side it will look like this. Now we are ready to mount the bracket to the wheel plate. We make sure we align them in the middle. We will use M6 16mm bolts with a washer. They go in on 4 places, front and in the back and on both sides. And the holes are exactly the size of the bolts, which means that we can turn them in with the Allen keys to have a proper position. And it also means that they are extra tight, so you have no flex in the bolt slash mounting area. So we are using the normal nuts to bolt down all the bolts. This bracket will also hold other types of wheelbases with a front mounting solution, like the SimMagic Alpha, the SimMagic Alpha Mini, the SimMagic U. We will now show you how to mount the wheelbase. In this case we are using M8 16mm. It can be different for other types, but usually this is a good length. The wheelbase is a heavy one, so if possible you might can do it with 2 people together to make sure you will not damage any of your hardware. Now we're just getting the bolts in. Start on the top, because once the top is tightened we can get in the bottom ones. So now you could see there is some adjustment possible, but preferably we would let the bottom part rest on the universal flat mount. Now we can tighten these ones up. You can use a wrench and then tighten them up. It's still adjustable, there's enough space. So also for the ones here, could also be reached with a long Allen key. This is it for now, mounting the wheelbase. Step 9. The integrated monitor mount. For the integrated monitor mount, we have 2 profiles with 1 tapped end. This is 42 centimeters and they both have a tapped end. So it's important to know that you don't mix these up with the profile from the profile pedal deck. But the profile pedal deck has tapped ends on both sides. What else is here? A 34 centimeter profile, phaser mount, end caps, 2 corner brackets, a mounting kit that goes with the phaser bracket, and then there is 6 the M8 16mm. So there are 6 of them and 4 T-nuts as well to mount the corner brackets. So this is actually a simple setup. What we do, we take the 16mm and we'll open up one of the profiles with the tapped end, the 42 centimeters. We get a bolt and the profile, and then we can decide if we put it in the front or in the back hole. For now we take this one. We can always change it later when everything is mounted. You can very easily get 2 of the bolts loosen up and then you can release them and change it to the other hole if necessary. Also this one, the first part you always turn in by hand and then you can tighten it completely with an Allen key. Now it's time to get the corner brackets out. Got 2 of them. We will prepare them again with a T-nut. Then they go in like this. So they support the next profile that's coming up. Just tighten them a little bit by hand The moving that you see here, by the way, is from the table. It's a heavy build on the table, and the table is moving around a bit. But as you will see in a demonstration video later, there will be no flex in the rig itself. So for here, we're also sliding in the T-nuts, both sides. Get the 16mm. Again. On the other side as well. You will need a position a bit lower. We'll already get the end caps out. Nothing we have to do here, so you can just click them in. We just got the phaser mount left. The thing with the phaser mount is SimXPro created a pattern which will fall in between the profile like this. So if you mount them like this, there's a slide here. So what you can do, you can still adjust the angle of the screen and also tilting when you have a triple setup. So easy to mount again. They go with the 12mm. They are in a separate bag. It's these little things here. First part in by hand. Like I said before, you can adjust them. And there's a 75 phaser pattern and there's a 100mm phaser pattern. So just getting these one in. So if you tighten them by hand, it's enough to mount your monitor and then adjust to the position that you like, and then you will tighten everything up. So far with the integrated monitor mount on the SimXPro GT-RS. Step 10. We're going to do the upgrade from the single monitor mount into the triple monitor mount. At first, we will start with an extension of the side part. We need the M8 16mm and we need 4 of them, and we are going to prepare them with the 40-40 corner bracket. We have to release the end cap and get these aligned with the horizontal profile, which is already there. Now we are going to use the 20cm 40-40 profile. And then we are also going to mount another corner bracket on the top. Slide it in, tighten everything up properly. Your monitors will mount on here, so we definitely don't want to forget to tighten up bolts. So in this case we tighten everything up. And if we are adjusting, we always do it with 2 people. So one is holding the monitor, the other one is adjusting the position with the profile or the bracket. So now for this side, we also need the triple brackets, these ones, and there will be 2 on each side, like one on the top, one on the bottom. We are using the M8 12mm. So now this area will be on here. So we are preparing the triple brackets with the M8 12mm bolts and the T-nut, and we'll slide them in the profile. We will also do that with the second piece, which will come underneath. The reason why we are using the M8 12mm bolts is because the plate is 3mm thick. So if we would use 16, there will be a gap of 1mm between the bracket and the bolt. So therefore it's important to use the right bolts with the right brackets. So now we are going to tighten the bolts up. We tighten them properly. Now we can also put back the end cap, the 40/40 profile, and we can also get this one in already. Next up, the 42 centimeters, which will come in between the triple brackets. So what we are going to do, we're getting another 4 of the 12mm bolts. They will go in the triple bracket, both sides. So they will be like this. So now we are going to get the profile in. Like I mentioned before, there are multiple ways to do this, but when the T-nuts and the bolts are close together, you sometimes need to be a little patient. But here it is. Now we can adjust this profile depending on how you want to mount your monitors. Usually it's somewhere like this, like kind of in the middle of the adjustability in the triple bracket, but you can always align it. So now I'm going to tighten these up. And I will show you something in adjustability. So for example, this profile, it could be that when you mount your monitors, that the monitor is not aligning. There can be adjustments within this, as you can see. It's now not fully tightened. So what we are going to do, if we want to have the profile higher, we will tighten up the top. Make sure these are tightened as well. Also, the profile side has to be tightened. So for now, what we can do, and like I said before, this is something that you need to do with 2 people. So one person is doing the tightening of the bolts. You push this one up, you can use force. If you've done this more often, you can do it by yourself, but when you have your monitor attached, please do it with 2 people. So now this is a bit higher and it's strong. The movement what you will see in this video is usually because of the table. We use a table which is height adjustment, but there is some flex in the table. So when I push the table, you will see this moving. It's not the rig, I can guarantee you it. It's the table. So now we just want to have it in a neutral position again, because no adjustment is necessary yet. Usually when you just mount it like this, will be enough. Otherwise, the monitor can be mounted with the FASA brackets, and also the FASA brackets have slots. These slots. So when your bolts are in and you need adjustment of your monitor, release the bolts, all 4 of them, and then you can turn or higher or lower your monitors. And when they're in position, you can tighten the bolts. So there's multiple ways to align everything. Usually this will be neutral and you'll do the adjustment on the FASA brackets. If somehow you need more adjustment, you can do it using the profile with what I told you before, releasing the bolts on the triple bracket, aligning, tighten them again. And then you can do some fine tuning again with these bolts. And there's what I also showed you before in the other video. You can do this. So usually it's good to position these in a neutral position, and then you can do the adjustment with the bracket, also height, low, and the angle. So now that we have this side mounted, we have to mount the other side as well, and then we are ready to install our monitors. can get the end cap in as well, and also get the end cap on the top one again. So what's important that I want to show you, like here, there's a gap that shouldn't. So I'm gonna make sure the profile will be straight up to this profile here. Then I tighten them up. So for the fascias, I'm using the 12mm bolt again. I'll prepare them in the fascia bracket already, so it's easier to get them in position. Tighten them when I got both of them on the profile. So for now, I'll just put them here. And we will do the adjustment later when the monitors are mounted. So this triple integrated monitor mount is for light monitors only. So you can use monitors up to 27-inch. It's really not recommended to use like 32-inch monitors because they're simply too heavy. If you have a setup with heavy triple monitors, like bigger ones, it's recommended to use the heavy stand. And the heavy stand can be adjusted in more ways, because the integrated monitor mount is like a good solution, but it's limited with adjustments. If you have a freestanding triple mount, you can adjust like forward, backward, angle. There's more ways to do it. And also there's no vibrations going from the rig into the monitors. If you just have a normal setup, we never experienced any trouble with vibrations, but it's something to keep in mind, because if you are using a heavy direct drive, it can be that your monitors are getting some vibrations. So in all those cases, you will go with a heavy triple stand. Now these are in place. We will get the end caps in, and then we'll be ready to mount our monitors. Step 11. We are going to mount the triple monitor setup. For example, we're using the MOZA, it's the R9, and we placed it already in a position where the monitor is coming between the wheelbase and between the steering wheel. So first we start with the middle center monitor, this one. From there on we can adjust with these profiles the side monitors. So first, now we will put on the center monitor. Like I mentioned before, these things should be done with two persons. We use the AOC 27-inch monitors with this triple set. It's a simple monitor, but it's good to show you how you can mount and adjust the screens. So from now on, we just put them in the bottom side of the slide, so we can adjust them later if necessary. So don't over tighten these because they are in the back of the monitor. Make sure they are tightened so there's no space between the monitor and the brackets. As you might can see, we changed the integrated monitor mount from the first position to the position here. We can now also adjust by releasing the face-up brackets. So now we can adjust the monitor to get it closer to the wheelbase or further away from the wheelbase. You can also do the tilting by making the top bracket more forward and the bottom more backwards. But in this case, because we're using a triple setup, we want to have them fully horizontal so they match up nicely with the side monitors. If you're using a single setup, you can easily adjust the monitor with the tilt brackets. Like I mentioned before, it's a heavy setup now on the table. So the moving that you will see like this is because of the table moving. It's not because the rig is moving. That's for sure. So that's what I wanted to mention. But now we are going to turn it around a bit so we can mount the side monitor. What we will do now is release these bolts so it's easy to move around. At this point we are going to mount the second monitor that's on the right side. Let's see, we might need to adjust a little bit to the side because at this point we only want to mount the monitor and we will adjust it in a minute when everything is attached. So we didn't fully tighten them yet because what I want to show you, we have a lot of adjustments because of this bracket. So when you get it in place, then you will fully tighten them. So you can also adjust here with the mount. I usually put them a little bit behind the center monitor and the fine tuning will be done later. So tighten these up a bit. So now we are going further with the other side. So we get these ones loosened up a bit because we want to adjust them easily. So now keep them a little loose because then we can easily align them and then we tighten them up. So for now, again, as you can see, you can adjust a lot. These directions, get it closer, get it just behind the center monitor. It's pretty much in place already, so that's always nice. Then we tighten everything up a bit and the fine tuning will be done when it's in position on the floor, when all cables are attached, because it can always be that it moves around a little bit and then you have to do the aligning twice. So for now, this is where we want to have it. Completely ready. Step 12. We are going to show you how you can mount your seat on the GT-RS. This is the SimXPro GT seat. It's a special edition with the GT-RS backside. The normal version comes with the black backside. So for now, we are going to mount two seats to show you what the possibilities are when you're mounting your seat. The GT seat will be the latest, and we will start now with a gaming seat. This is a gaming seat that is not sold by SimXPro. It's just a gaming seat from the internet, which has 4 bolting holes in the bottom of the seat. It's actually very easy to mount it. It's important to measure the distance from back to the front hole, because this needs to be the exact same distance as the hole here in the back. And here we are going to use a corner bracket, like we also used in the pedal area. I'm going to have a look at the distance, which is exactly 25 centimeters. A little bit more. And in this case, the seat has a bottom mounting, so we need to bolt the seat from the bottom upwards into the bottom of the seat. It means that the bolt will go in like this. So on the back side here, that's no problem. We can just put the bolt through and adjust it to align up with the seat. Here we cannot bolt into the seat from the bottom side, but we can only bolt it from the top side. So we're going to use corner brackets again with the aligning pieces chipped off. place a T-nut. Get the bolt in, slightly tighten it, and do the same next to this one. So now we are going to measure the distance between the left and the right mounting hole. It's 15 centimeters. We can now already create the pattern so we can very easily mount the seat. 15 centimeters here. I double check with this one, it was 25. It is exactly 25. So we can get 4 bolts that bolt into the seat. So these bolts are all going upwards. One in here, one in here, one in here, and one in here. The easy way to do it is to mount it somewhere on the table, or maybe let someone lift it up for you so you can easily get under the seat. Crawl all the way under and get it here. And on the back side, so like I mentioned before, super easy to set up an office chair or a game chair on the SimXPro GT-RS. This one is adjustable. You can also tilt the back of the seat, but you can do this with usually any type of seat who has a bottom mounting. So let's go on with the GT seat from SimXPro. So for the next part, the GT seat from SimXPro. This is the special edition GT-RS backside. The normal is black gloss. It's a fiberglass seat. It's lightweight and it's used also in race cars. There is the FIA version who can be used in real race cars on real tracks. But this version is the normal GT. It has the logo in. There's some padding. You can easily get it in a different position. Also these ones can come loose and you can change the way how you like it to make it shorter. You can turn it around to have a higher or a lower front part. Yeah, that's what we really like about this seat. It's adjustable because it has separate layers of padding. So this seat has to be mounted using seat mounts because this seat has the mounting holes on the side. Therefore, we are using seat brackets. The universal seat mounts are also adjustable. There is even an extended version with a higher front, so you can tilt the seat more backwards. What we need to do now is adjust this profile to get in line with the holes of the universal seat mounts. Slide them forward. Almost. Here it is. So now we can tighten these up a bit. Normally you will not have to loosen them again, so you can already tighten them properly. This one will come here. So the T-nuts sliding into place. Also on here. And now we're just getting the bolts in. Just by hand, because we need to adjust it to get the seat in between the universal seat mounts. On the back side, we will use a normal nut with a normal bolt. It's also possible to use a seat slider. The seat slider also has its own manual. It's not very hard to mount it, but you need to think a bit on the best way to get it in position. But with the slider, you can adjust your seat more to the front or more to the back. So for now, the brackets are already in place. We can use the tape measure to have a distance between the brackets. It's approximately 40 centimeters. So we will have to adjust this one a little bit here. And what we want to have the seat in the middle of the back, so here it is. So it's important to keep an eye on the distance that you got left on the sides. What I want to show you, if you are using a seat which is very wide, it's possible to get the seat mounts all the way out. They can extend from the bottom. But in this case, it was around here. So let's get them back in this position. Measure them again. Approximately 40. A little bit more, because we can always slide them back more easy. We will get the bolts to mount the seat also to have them ready. And now it can just be placed between. You can rest it for a bit. What I usually do is I'll take the back side first, because it's the most heavy part, and I don't put them in the upper slot but one underneath it, here as well, and tighten them up a little bit just to keep it in position. Make sure it's in the center. So now I'm going to lift up the seat. People who have been struggling with this now understand why it's best to mount it on the back side first, because now you can easily tighten the front side. So be careful when you are tilting that you are not damaging the seat. So it should still have some space. Okay, so we can now fix the front part and on this side as well. Now that the seat is on, we can mount the rest of our accessories and get ready to race.